When you draft somebody in the first round,
trade up
in this day and age, I'm just talking about drafting anybody. Don't forget about the trading up for a second. That does make it worse.
Yeah.
But just on its face, when you draft somebody in the first round in the NFL, regardless of position, you've got 3 years to see what you've got in the player. That's what you've got. You got 3 years before you need to make a decision that is a crucial financial one for your team. Do you pick up this player's fifth-year option? When there was a lockout, when I lost all of my damn hair in 2011, being the host of NFL Total Access during a lockout, I was losing my hair, lost my remaining hair. Part of the lockout was about making sure by the teams to make sure they're no longer going to make the biggest financial decision a team can make on a player who's never played it down in the NFL. They were done with the $60 million contracts to a top 5 drafted player. They're done with it. They need some sort of certainty from 1 through 32 in terms of where you put a player. They saw what the NBA went through. They wanted that. Cost certainty. They were done with doing all of that. This is the crux of the situation. If Aaron Rodgers is saying it's about the culture and handling their business and he threw a wrench into everything. They were done with it. Owners were done with it. We want to make sure we need to see some time on the field before we make a financial commitment to a player in the first contract as a professional football player. So, fifth-year option. You got to make that decision after a third year is completed, before a fourth year is started. That's what you have to do. And when you draft a quarterback in the first round, you got to get that player on the field after you've got maybe 1 year to let him sit and learn and marinate. But you better put him on the field in year 2. You got to do that. You got to get going. Because the first year is kind of a learning curve that we've all seen. It's so rare to see a Justin Herbert. You see more of Tua. That's what you see more of. Or you see more of Joe Burrow. Hey, House of Fire got hurt.
Yep.
Or you see more of Sam Darnold. Hey, I don't want to go into it.
Yeah, but not everybody is, like you said, Andrew Luck, like ready-made.
Correct. You've got to get them out there, because a year 3, a second year, if you sit in the first year, that's the stuff that you got to see. Certainly if you trade up to go get that quarterback. And the wrench in the plan was the MVP season, and he knows it. Aaron Rodgers said the words. He knows it. That's a wrench in the plans. They didn't see that one coming, because why else would they trade up to go get a quarterback that they like so much? And this is not like Terry Bradshaw's world, where I didn't pay attention to Mark Malone when they drafted him the first round in 1980, because the construct of the league was not based around you got to play him before a fifth-year option decision gets made. That's the way this world works now in the NFL. You got to win in the player's first contract in the NFL if it's a quarterback. The odds of that happening right now for Jordan Love are plummeting. He didn't even suit up last year. That's what Rodgers means. The question is how does it get fixed? Because if it is a philosophy, if it is about people and people aren't respected enough, or people aren't part of the organization that you can count on, it's about the people in Green Bay. Well, it sounds like he's the people, we the people,
Right.
12 the people. So how does the people sitting in Hawaii, losing a ton of weight, drinking his TB12 water, as Kenny Mayne said to start the interview, and working on himself, his insides and then his outsides and together, and how does that guy come off of his Hawaiian getaway and get on the field with his teammates who are out there today? Rob Domofsky of ESPN will be calling in from Wisconsin to talk about the OTA that goes down today. And Matt LaFleur is going to talk today. In the same way that Arthur Smith had to talk a day after Julio Jones got put on television without knowing he was on television, Aaron Rodgers willingly went on television the night before the coach speaks at the OTA. And I'm sure it'll be the usual, we want him, can't wait to have him. But you will hear, this is my prediction, because I know coaches in the NFL, you will hear, I can only coach the guys who are here. And soon that will be, I'm only talking about the guys who are here. And that's the way to put the Rodgers stuff in a box so you don't inflame any situations and also give a new news cycle of life to them as a head coach in the NFL. I think LaFleur, this will be the last time he addresses, I'm only talking about the guys who are here, and I'll talk about the guy who's not here for one more time. And then there's an OTA in the middle of June. That's the question. How does it get fixed? How does the people get addressed in a manner where the people in the person shows up for work? I don't have the answer to that. I don't know if Rob Demovsky has the answer to that. And the only person who really has the answer to that is the guy who appeared with Kenny Mayne last night. And I don't mean Boochie Gross. Okay? And I don't know. Right now, it sounds like he is just going to turn up the heat on Gutekunst. Just keep that goose cooking. Keep it cooking.
Until what, though? Like, what's his end game?
I don't know. The end game and we'll see how public opinion plays out, and we'll see if the money might be showing up on the table in a manner that he appreciates, but just turn it up. There's no sense in showing up right now. Mid-June is when he's supposed to show up. That's only about $100,000 worth of fines. He can rip that off. I'm sure it was in the cushion of the couch that he was sitting on yesterday, figuratively. So
probably. And
it's stuff that if they do a new deal, all that stuff gets thrown under the rug anyway. That's just part of the water under the bridge that will be part of the story when he goes in the Hall of Fame one day. I don't have an answer, is essentially what I'm saying. I didn't hear a guy last night who said, I'm out of here. Didn't hear that. Didn't hear a guy saying, I have demanded a trade, Kenny, or I do want the general manager's head figuratively on a football pike like he's on Game of Thrones.
Spoiler alert.
I didn't say the name. I don't think it's a spoiler that somebody's head is on a pike in Game of Thrones. Didn't say the name.
Good point. We also didn't hear a guy that sounded like he was retiring.
No.
So.
No. So these are the things. So the
and he
can.
didn't say he was going to show up either.
The can is kicked down the road. He did his friend a you can't even say it's a solid. You can't even call it a solid. Yeah, no. It's what Aaron Rodgers did for Kenny Mayne last night.
Well, he gave him the ultimate send-off.
My gosh. Yeah. And that's what friends are for. Yeah. When you need a friend to help you out or raise your profile at a point where you feel management is not giving you what you feel you deserve in the same way that
two guys, that's both of them.
Aaron is saying he did himself a great solid, but you even heard at one point Kenny said at the end after his soliloquy, did you demand a trade? And he's like, I kind of said what I wanted. I gave you that. Yeah. I gave you your soundbite. Now let's talk about you because this is what I'm here to do. That's what friends do. And then that was the end of that. So it seems to me he just took the boiling pot, kept the lid on it, and turned the heat up on the general manager and the team president, Mark Murphy. And I wonder what Rob Demovsky thinks. That's the way I took it. So Packer fans, what Packers Twitter last night was jumping off the figure. If there was a George Washington Bridge in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Right? So
an East Coast reference.
Right. So they were reading into so much, and all I will say to Packers Twitter is guy didn't say he's retiring, didn't say I demanded a trade, didn't say anything other than something that we can all hang our hats on in the media to keep turning the pressure up on that general manager who decided to trade up for a quarterback and not tell him about it. And with whom he clearly has no relationship. And the only relationship is bad. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.